Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and I have something that is fairly well awaited and will take a little explaining. This is DubSub. This is kind of the successor to things like Fathom 5 or whatever, and as you can see, I've got a lot going on in here. It's very complicated. It has almost like a bass amp or something, and it has some new stuff in that it has got inverse and dry levels rather than just regular levels, because when I put out Fathom 5, people were asking for inverse outputs. And it sounds something like this. Wow. How exciting. This is just what you want to put on your master bus. Whee! Obviously not. But let's see if we can get some of this behavior. To demonstrate something. See, here's what DubSub is. It takes a signal in. This treble grind is a kind of distortion. You can distort quite hard with it. So that can be used for effect. And it can also be inverted too. If you don't have it, you're listening to bass drive and or sub drive. And bass drive is like this. It's essentially the same thing as the head bump in ToTape 5, but alterable. It's voiceable. Here's its voicing control. You can make it go very deep using this. So here you've got a way to do a humongous bass boost, or an inverted humongous bass boost. Treble grind itself should be fairly plain, although you don't necessarily have to use treble grind for any of this. It does also have a dry wet. So you could do the sub boost like this, or invert it, or revoice it. But wait, there's more. Even if you don't have any bass boost going on that you can hear, you can also use the sub. Here's the thing. The sub wants to operate on a single waveform. We're feeding it a big pile of final mix. It's never going to be able to deal with that. It's working off of the bass voicing, so we can exaggerate that somewhat. We can change the voicing of that, also reinforcing the lows. And you're almost getting a sense of what it might do. But it's really not designed to deal with that at all. So what you'd be doing is throwing some kind of frequency on it, and here's a way we can do just that. Here's our input sound. We can set the bass voicing and sub voicing to something where these frequencies will come through. And then if we use the bass in and out, we get an interesting sort of overload. And this is what the head bump on ToTape sounds like inside. We can manipulate it voicing it high like this kind of suppresses the super lows. Voicing it very deeply means we're exaggerating the super lows quite a lot. And then if we're using this, then subs come into their own. And we'll give it a little try. And let's just stretch this loop out a little bit so that we can get higher frequencies. So there you have it. The sub-octave is a thing that wants to work with existing waveforms of some kind rather than a really dense, complicated sound. And you combine all these things, and you can get a pretty gnarly thing going on. You go from this to this. Gets to start sounding like an engine of some kind. And throw in a little treble grind there, and you can bring out the details of whatever you're working with. And we'll turn that off a little bit and start playing with the drum sound, because while drums are not that tonal, we'll see what we can get out of DubSub on a drum kit anyway, just because why not? Why not fool around with it? So here's our treble grind. That's good and loud. Or we can distort it like crap. Get a little insanity going over there. Oh, crossover has its effects as well. That lets you get only the highest of highs or bring it right down. There's a lot of gain going on here. And now what we can do is start bringing out this bass voicing. We've got a lot of really deep lows going on here. Or we can have it more punchy. And remember, this is with no dry. Here's our dry. And then if we take that away, we can start bringing out the subs and get really weird. Get a little earthquake noises in here. And we can voice that higher, not that it's making a lot of difference. Or throw some more drive into it. Or pull it out. And of course, the difference between that and the bass is like this. The bass is much more normal sounding because it is not an octave divider. The bass can be voiced in a variety of different ways. I'll voice it down kind of low. Get it kind of punchy. You can use the drive to determine how overdriven it's going to be. Kill this, go to the sub, and say subtract the bass instead of add it. Add some insane grind. Now that's positively 9-inch nails right there. That's horrible. And it's horrible in a rather wonderful way. And then we'll include a little dry. Take some of the grind away. And since we've lost all the mid bass, instead of subtracting the bass, let's add it. A little more depth in there. Rumbliness. Now it's got a horrible scrunch going down in the very deepest sounds. So let's exaggerate that. And now we have a relatively normal sound with a lot of craziness added to it. And this is not samples of any kind. It's just creating this out of your noises. Let's make it grindier. Let's make the grindiness midier. Now that's a fairly big sound. Let's see what it sounds like with the subs inverted. Or we can dial them back. They're kind of loud. We'll take all of the bass reinforcement out and do it all with subs. There you are. Horrible industrial noises. Oh, this one's going to get me in such trouble with the people who want all the plugins to sound nice. This does not sound nice. But all the noises are not coming from samples. It's horrible industrial noises that are coming right off of the sounds that you use. And if you didn't use a overall drum mic recording and used, say, spot mics, your range of possibilities get even huger. Like, throw this sub stuff on a kick drum and generate things like this. There you are, a little zero there, a little zero there. nothing but subs. And there's what we got. Presto. And it sounds relatively normal too, but instant sub kick. Instant extra rumble. Whereas without it, you got this. With it, you got this. And we can voice it down even lower. Oh wow, that was interesting. Dry and just a little bit of this craziness. How's that for a little extra lows on your kick drum? And if we put that on the sine, it would sound like this. Kind of a motorcycle going on. There is DubSub. I have evolved the whole Fathom 5 thing up to this point, and this was one of the ones that's on the list of stuff that I used to sell for $50 a pop. And you had to pay $50 if you were going to get a hold. Well, you could pirate it, I suppose. I think people usually didn't go around pirating my stuff very much. They like me too much. It's a moot point now. Please do distribute it. But if this tool for things like kick drums and bass guitars and whatever horrible stuff you want to do with it is so useful that you would have bought it for $50 to own it forever and have the source code and all of the everything that goes with it, please jump on my Patreon, because that's how I'm still here to do this. I've been doing the Patreon thing for more than 2 years now. I can't say as I exactly remember, but Patreon is the reason why I'm still here giving you stuff this week, rather than just having given you stuff while I was able to still do the thing before I had to give up because I was starving and I had to go and get a job at Walmart or McDonald's or something, which would be terrible, so let's not go there. I'd much rather just keep making you plugins. Hopefully this one is a good offering. I think the stuff I was doing with the drum kit indicate that you might just find this useful in something. Even if it doesn't sound very nice thrown on the mix bus. Here's another one of those ones like, yeah, please don't use this on the mix bus. That seems like a really bad idea. Although, let's find out. Can I make it actually behave itself on a mix bus? Let's start with full dry. We're not doing any treble grind. Our crossover can be up here because we're not using it. Bass drive can be low so that we have a lot of dynamics. Bass in, out. Now we're starting to get a sort of reggaeton thing going on. Very heavy. So you bleed a little of that in there. I'm kind of listening to how it affects the bass. Let's see what happens when we invert it. Well, that's interesting. We kind of controlled the resonance of the bass doing that by just feeding it in inverted, which is interesting. Let's see what else we can do. Can we get subs happening? We've actually got subs full crank, so the drive is at 0, so let's start feeding some in. Okay, that sounds like crunchiness and bad. Let's voice it as low as we can go. Can we feed in just the tiniest amount, I wonder? I'm hearing the overtone, but what if we go back to dry? And let's see if we can get some of the real lows out of there. Okay, that's deep. I'll pull it back. And turn it off. So you kind of can use this on the mix bus. I just think it's a very dangerous, weird thing to do. In particular, you can always use it on the mix bus if you wanted to do this. No subs. All bass. Oh wait, you simply turn it on. There we go. So, all bass, no subs. And you can always use it just to do that ToTape thing or throwing some head bump in there. You can treat this as if it is a kind of lows boost, which it is. But it can be voiced in interesting ways. And crossover is affecting bass and subs too. So if I cross it over all like this, you're not hearing any of the treble grind. This brings the super lows. And we can also voice it like this so that it's more MIDI. And then use that to fill in. We get all bass guitar voicing, and then subs voicing. Or super subs voicing. Or our insane subwoofer rumble. Anyways, so still not super duper recommended for the mix bus unless you know what you're doing. That sub is going to be kind of grungy because it's an octave divider effect, and you have to have a clean note going into it to get a clean octave out. Otherwise, it's just noise and rumble and snarl. Which is not to say that's a bad thing. I just think that it's more useful on, say, drum mics and stuff like that. Anywhere that it can grab a frequency that's actually useful. But I am totally not your mom and will not tell you what to do or not do with DubSub. What I will do is make it available to you for free, because anything that doesn't count as like the one key super plugin that you would spend $50 for, as far as I'm concerned, use it anyway. Go ahead, with my blessing. Enjoy. And with the number of crazy features on this, I dare say that you may very well enjoy using DubSub. I know that there's some people who have been looking forward to this, and I hope you have a fun time with it. Thanks.